sick and tired of that. We need a real sanctuary city. So now we have one more question.
Cathy, why should voters trust you?
Because I'm not a career politician. Right. Because I grew up in New York City. I'm a daughter of immigrants. Because I was a restaurant worker. I was a teacher. And I'm someone from the people. Whereas Eric Adams is funded by the millionaires and billionaires that have a direct contradiction. And therefore, that's how you know that my interests are solely in treating women, giving them a quality, dignified life in New York. For evictions anymore. We're not going to stand for the continual defunding of our education. Like de Blasio did, that took over $170 million from the Department of Education, but continues to fund. At every level, we center the needs of humanity.
Eric Adams if he lives in New Jersey.
I'm from Queens, New York. Shout out to Queens.
A storm like Ida is approaching the city, and you have 48 hours to prepare. Give us 3 things.
Had to shut down the city immediately. There should have been nobody. An announcement saying all businesses flood zones, they should have been immediately transported. The MTA buses that were still running, they should 48 hours before the hurricane started and transported them to shelters, to hotels or someplace where they could take shelters. Years. 10 years to prepare for this hurricane, and still we had no response whatsoever. We're in Queens Center Mall when it started flooding. On top of that, we need to ensure that basements are safe to live in. Most of the people that died in this hurricane were immigrants living in basements. We need to ensure that everybody has access to quality housing in New York City and can afford it. And that's why we want to make New York City a rent control city where landlords can't charge more than 20% of people's rent. That way we could ensure that everybody could afford housing. We want to end homelessness in New York. All of these vacant lots and vacant apartments need to be seized and given to people in homeless shelters. 89% of people in homeless shelters are Black and Latino families. We need to end housing discrimination. Okay? So we need to be looking, yes, 48 hours, but we need to create solutions that are going to create long-term solutions in New York City.
We got another question. How will you address bringing basement apartments up to code and managing them properly?
Many people live in basement apartments because they don't have no other option. Market rate apartments in New York City are unaffordable. Lottery apartments that they say are affordable are unaffordable. I got approved for a lottery apartment. It was $2,000 a year for a 1-bedroom. I'm a teacher. I can't afford that. We need to make sure that housing is affordable so that people's only option is not to live in a basement that lacks light and proper ventilation. So my solution City a rent control city, to seize vacant apartments and vacant lots and ensure that they become rent controlled apartments. And that will make sure that everyone has access to quality housing where they won't have to live in a basement.
That's right, that's right. Also, immigrants like us, when you come to the city, it's not easy to rent. You have no documents, you have no credit score, you have nothing. And that's how you end up, in illegal housing and places that are not really made for people to live. And that's how we end up in situations like the floodings that was happening during Ida. That's why my vote is Cathy Rojas, and that's why we are here demanding to let Cat debate. Let Cat debate. Why are you so afraid? 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 And New York City, for you who's passing by, we are here with your mayor candidate, Cathy Rojas, on November 2nd. You know who to vote to. Woo!
All right, we got another question. In Rikers Island.
We need to 11. There in Rikers Island this year, the conditions in Rikers Island are criminal. Await trial in their house. We do not need people in jail or they haven't been convicted of a crime. Most awaiting trial. Let them go home and wait trial at home. We need to close Rikers Island and we do not need to open 5 more jails.
That's right. Let Cat debate. Why are you so afraid? 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 Let Cat debate. Why are you so afraid?
Eric Adams said that he's working class, that he comes from Brooklyn. But why are you so scared? First of all, why are you living in New Jersey and talking about what New Yorkers need? But 2, if you're really from the streets like you say you are, if you were beat up by police, then come outside. Why are you so scared? I'm a working class person. You're a working class person. Let's talk. Let's debate. Let New Yorkers hear about our 2 different points of view and let them choose. Let them choose. Why are you censoring me? Why are you hiding behind this corporate media, these millionaires and billionaires showing up to perfectly curated spaces that are meant to make you look good? Why won't you come outside? Why?
Come outside! Eric Adams, come outside! Hey! Let's get the debate! We have one more question!
All right, what is one thing you would do specifically to fix the mental health system?
First of all, like I said, Rikers Island is currently the biggest mental health facility in New York City. Out of all of the, if you put all of them combined, Rikers has more people with suffering from mental illness than any other psychiatric hospital in New York City. So we need to stop criminalizing people with mental health issues. And the way that I plan to do that is by reallocating $6 billion from the NYPD and giving it to violence intervention programs, to mental health services, to housing creation, to NYCHA, and public housing. Because we know that well-funded communities create well-funded and healthy people. But we need to fund mental health services, and right now it's completely defunded and it's criminalized. How is it possible that we only have 11 public hospitals in New York City, a city with close to 9 million people? How is that possible? In a city with the second most amount of billionaires in the world, with 99 billionaires, with a collective wealth of close to $600 billion. How is it possible that we have people committing suicide instead of being taken care of? People that are facing drug addiction, that are incarcerated, instead of going to rehabilitation centers. We need to put the needs of working class people, the need for profit, the need for criminalization, just so that corporations have access to cheap labor, okay? Let's talk about that, and the prison industrial complex, okay? And we need to stop incarcerating people with mental health issues.
Thank you. Fight for hunger, education, not for police and incarceration.
Fight for jobs and education, not for police and incarceration. Fight for jobs and education, not for cops and incarceration.
Fight for hunger and education,
Not for cops and incarceration. All right, we have another question. Mentally ill people cannot be committed to institutions unless they are in imminent danger. Most mentally ill people on New York City streets don't meet that standard. Should the standard be higher?
We're gonna put together the next one, which is also about, should hotels in Manhattan be used for homeless population?
Okay, for the first one, absolutely. Hotels in Manhattan should be used for homeless population, but we need permanent housing for people that are homeless. We need to stop funding this shelter, like homeless industrial complex, okay? We need to stop funding temporary solutions that don't empower our community, that still continue homelessness, that just create a whole business out of homelessness. And what we need to do is not just provide them hotels with no kitchens and no nothing. I mean, that could be a temporary solution for tonight. But what we need is to seize vacant apartments and vacant lots and create affordable housing and permanent housing for those who are homeless. I forgot to address the first question. It was unless they're in imminent danger. Most mentally ill people on New York City streets don't meet that standard. Should Okay, well, I mean, I just want to connect this to homelessness. We need to understand that a large part, okay, and the reason that they are homeless is because they can't find work with their mental disabilities. And in capitalism, if you do not create profit for the millionaires and billionaires so that they could create these luxury apartments and luxury office spaces, then you're not worthy. And we need to change that mentality and say that every single life matters in New York City. That mentally ill people, their life. What that means is creating more mental health facilities and institutions that aren't collaborating with police. Because a lot of people don't want to be institutionalized because it's the police that's gonna take them. Or it's the ambulance that's gonna take them that charges them upwards of $10,000 for a ride. You know, we need to make healthcare accessible so that people aren't worrying about, well, if I'm institutionalized, then I'm gonna have a bill of $40,000. Because we know that also causes mental stress and mental illness, okay? So we need to truly fund our communities. We know a problem called Be Heard, where it was a social work run intervention program for people that were in mental illness crisis. It was run by social workers. 95% of people that the social workers went to respond to their mental illness crisis, accepted long-term care. 95%. The program is called Be Heard. These are the programs that we police. Not we need to fund the people because it is us that make this city run. Thank you.
We have one more question. For scooters with vehicle traffic.
Well, first of all, we need to talk about the transportation that most of the MTA is crumbling right now. And if we just have $100 billion that the 99 billionaires of New York City have, we will have enough money to fully fund the infrastructure of the MTA. But we need to make the MTA public and free, okay? And the reason for that is that the MTA right now is a tax on the working class because bosses need workers to get to work, right? They need us to get to work, and yet we have to pay for it. The two administrators of the MTA make hundreds of millions of dollars. How is it that the administrators of the MTA are making hundreds of millions of dollars while the MTA is crumbling? They're not doing a good job. If they're not doing a good job, why are they getting paid with our money? Okay? So we need to stop making the MTA and public transportation a tax on the poor and the working class, and we need to make it a tax on the rich. Because they need us. They need us to get on those trains to get to work every day.
That's right. Let Cathy Rojas. Why you so afraid? Let Cathy Rojas. Why you so afraid? Let Cathy Rojas. Why you so afraid? Let Cathy Rojas. Why you so afraid?
I got one more question. Do you support congestion pricing and why?
Oh no, absolutely. Okay, so like I just said, we understand that congestion pricing has to happen, but we feel that it should be the corporations the millionaires, the billionaires that need us to go to work every day, that need to pay it, not us.
That's right, that's right. Tax the rich, tax the rich, tax the rich. Executives would put elevators on every single subway station. So elderly people, mothers with children can go up and down because it's not accessible. The MTA is not accessible to from the executives that are on the top, the bonus that the people. Alright, we got street vendors.
We need to legalize street vending. Street vending and street vendors, every as an excuse to criminalize our immigrant communities and process them through a system that can lead through to deportation.
That's right, that's right.
All right, another question. What will you do to address affordable housing for seniors?
Well, first of all, with our tax on the rich, we can fully fund NYCHA repairs. Right now, many NYCHA residents are seniors, and they're apartments because the elevators do not work. They're living in apartments that are rodent. The plumbing does not work. Our to do is take these luxury but make New York City over. A lot of seniors can't afford to live outside, or their social security doesn't allow. New York City, a rent-controlled city, where people are not paying more than 20% of their income. Every elderly person has access to a housing that they could afford, and we need to begin NYCHA that has people living in these criminal danger the lives of our elderly.
That's right. Criminal conditions inside of the NYCHA, the privatizing of public housing, little by little. We need to fight back. We have one more question. Why is New York City great right now? And why people should stay here? Why New York City is great right now and why people should stay here? We can make New York City great when we elect Cathy Rojas. We take down the capitalists and the rich people. That's it.
I think that anybody that's saying that New York City is living the reality of working class people. Right. We just lived through a global pandemic where we had more than 30,000 of our residents die. I was literally walking outside my house, and in front of Elmer's Hospital, there was vans, refrigerated vans being used as morgues of our people dying. Food, unemployment, the pandemic hasn't ended, okay? We in New York City, people are about to be evicted because of the money that they lost because they couldn't work during the pandemic. Homelessness is rising. Our social services that we need to make them safe. The city is not amazing right now, but we can make it amazing. If you vote for me, also the needs of working class people in the forefront. From New York, they'll say New York isn't great.
Woo! All right, one question. Will you ban carriage horses in the city?
Absolutely. 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 We need to ban carriage horses in the city. But we need to also take care of our workers. A lot of times, people that are using the horse carriages as a way to make income do not have another viable source of income. They do not have another small business that they could open. They do not have another source of employment. So we need to ensure that New Yorkers have access to quality employment that is both humane for humanity and for our animals.
Thank you, thank you. Okay, last question. Will you have race and gender benchmarks for City Hall jobs?
Absolutely, but we need to not just tokenize people and choose people for a job just because of their race and gender, and truly empower communities. Because just because you have somebody that's Latino in the job force or in a political position, or just because you have a black person that in a political position or that holds a certain job position, that says nothing about the overall reality of the black, Latino, Asian community, or the overall reality of women in New York City. If we truly cared about women in New York City, there wouldn't be over 4,000 rape kits that still haven't been tested by the NYPD that date back to 1980, okay? If we really cared about women, we would choose to end violence against women and to take their assault seriously. We say that we need the NYPD because we need to stop sexual assault. They haven't tested over 4,000 rape kits because they don't care. They don't care about women. We know that people, that families, women who are married to police officers are 40% of them are victims to domestic violence. 40%. So we know that they're more likely. So we need to stop employing abusers in our city agencies. Okay? So, at the end of the day, at every level, we need to put the interests of our people, of women, of the African American community, of the Latino community, of the Asian community, of the poor working class whites. We need to put it in the forefront because we all matter. We all will matter if we have a socialist that isn't just trying to make more profit for the people that funded his campaign like Eric Adams would do. Right. Why was Eric Adams sitting with Bloomberg? What did they have to talk to the interests of the working class in New York? If you debate me so that all New Yorkers could see all the perspectives, but he doesn't. He wants to go up his political ladder and make more money, increase his salary. We need to fight. At the end of vote for Cathy Rojas. Not for me, but for the working class. But don't stop there. Don't stop there. It's not voting. I'm not a fake politician that's gonna by voting, by one person being in political power. That's a lie. Whoever tells you that, that's a lie. We're gonna win by creating a movement demanding that our voices be heard, that our police brutality, that are demanding the defunding of education. So on November 2nd, the struggle is every day we have to fight for a new society regardless of who's in power. Because there's more of us than them. There's 99 billionaires, but there's close to 9 million people in New York City. And imagine if that close to 9 million people united and fought on those 99 billionaires. Winning is our reality. We can win, but we have to fight for it. Thank you.
That's right, that's right. For this night, for this debate that we brought here in front of NBC Studios, because like Cathy Rojas said, is when the people do what we need to do and we get what we want. That's what we show to them today, that we are not afraid. They might be afraid, but we are not afraid. Television studio that does not invite us, we're gonna show. Tell them that we are coming. Tell the rich that we are coming. The workers of New York City will take back the city. We'll take back the wealth. Second, yes, Cathy Rojas, yes, socialism. I show them that there are people here for socialism. But goes beyond November 2nd. Get involved. Get organized. Because this is just the beginning. And we can do more. So I'll see you next Wednesday. ABC, we coming. Thank you.
All power to the people!
All power to the people! All power to the people! All power to the people! All power to the people! All power to the people! All power to the people! All power to the people! All power to the people! All power to the people! All power to the people! All power to the people! All power to the people! Yeah! Woo!
Come and sign up with us, take part in this movement. And on November 2nd, you know what to do. Vote Cathy Rojas.
Learn about this campaign. Learn about that it's possible to have a New York City for the workers and not just for the rich. Join us, join us. Pick up a flyer. Go to Manhattan NYC. Check it out on social media. Follow up and join us in the movement that goes way beyond these elections.
Yeah, they're